It's time for a blast from the past.
Dad, why did they build the Great Wall of China?
That was during the time of Emperor Nasi Goreng, and it was to keep the rabbits out. There's too many rabbits in China.
Okay, now Daniel will do his talk on China.
All right, so there we have it. That is our blast from the past. That is our classic creative from Telstra, an iconic. Anyone that grew through this period or was watching TV absolutely knows this ad, has an affinity to it, and it's not hard to see why. Jared, I know you weren't even in the country at this time, and this is the first time you've ever seen the ad, so you don't have the legacy or the history, but just on the first time you've watched the ad, from a scientific neuroscience memory perspective, like give us your insight in terms of why this has had such a profound effect on Australians.
It's if you have a classic joke, you want that joke to be repetitive enough that anyone can say it anywhere, and it just everyone knows exactly what you're talking about. And so the way you do that is you have to lock it to a very specific context. In this case, if you want an Aussie joke, it's got to be done in a thick Aussie accent in a very funny, short way. And I just keep thinking of like lines from The Castle. That was my first introduction to Australia. When he comes in and says Emperor Nasi Goreng, it's like, that's it. Nailed it. That little thing, all you have to do is say that and everyone will know exactly what you're talking about. The accent was spot on. The timing was spot on. The joke was just subtle enough. It wasn't so stupid that a kid in the back, like if it was Emperor fried rice, the kid would be like, what are you talking about? It was fun. There's just execution on that was brilliant. So if you want a funny joke, if you want a commercial that's going to resonate, it can't be 30 seconds of comedy like Jason Momoa stripping himself down. That's funny at the beginning, but it just keeps happening and it's cool. It's a quip. It's a line. It's a joke that catches you off guard and you go, good. In terms of absolute brand, I think it was for Bigpond, which was for Telstra originally.
It was a product from Telstra, so that was their broadband.
I'm just thinking Bigpond still doesn't exist now, but I could see what they also set up a situation which is totally recognizable and understandable to everyone. So this is when internet's still going to be kind of new. The idea still being that you can get all the information you need from the internet. You can get all the answers here. We kind of know better now, but at the same time, they were the first ones kind of out of the gate saying, look, you're stupid. We're not. Have a good time. So everything about that was kind of brilliant. And I think what I like most about this commercial is it runs the through line we've been talking about. So we were talking about how Uber Eats, Jimmy Brings, Kogan, once you get a pattern, you can go with it, go with it, go with it, go with it, go with it. In this instance, they got a pattern. Kid asks dad a question, dad doesn't know, dad makes up bullshit, feeds it back to kid. You've got yourself a pattern. But in this instance, once you saw that you hit it, you're never going to do better than that. You're never going to win over that joke. In which case, even though you've built a pattern, don't play with it because it's only going to diminish. It's like making Die Hard Part 2. You already did it and you did it so well and it wasn't generic enough and it wasn't middle of the road. It got people talking. Let it play. Let it roll out. And this is an example of you built a pattern, but you don't need to play it. Just you already nailed it. Everyone's going to talk about it forever.
And I think the true beauty of this one was also as a parent, it's a situation that you've been in, dozens, hundreds of times where kids have asked you a question and you just have no idea. And, you really resonate as a parent. You're like, oh, wow. And I think that's where the humor's really set up because you're just like, that's genius. And
the rabbit proof, it brings it back to Australia. The fact that he made it the rabbit proof fence, which we have here, he's just like, oh, they must have done the same thing over there. It was local, it was recognizable, it was good.
And it was to keep the rabbits out. Too many rabbits, but it's the other thing as well where this becomes really powerful is when you can coin a term, a phrase, just like The Castle and this, where it becomes part of the vernacular of the citizens that are in it, So every time you're saying it, you're in essence reciting the brand because your memory goes from that phrase is anchored to the creative, which is then anchored to the brand. And if you get the thread there, that's where it becomes really, really powerful.